Welcome to Three Blind Mike's podcast, sponsored by the Family Proud, Family Strong Network. Follow their journey as John J., the real hot rod, Cleetstradamus, and Portis, the assassin, deliver the bottom line on the greatest pop culture entertainment debates of then and now. The Three Blind Mikes won't know the topic of the show until the show begins, which surely will lead to an unscripted and uncensored good time. Now, let's go in blind on the road to nowhere.
Doesn't have the baggage that comes with Thanksgiving.
That's true, because Thanksgiving has a lot of baggage.
You're at college.
Those some big bags too.
Yeah. If you're at college and you say, "Hey, look, I can't make it home for the holidays." Oh, that's okay, honey. Yeah, we understand. It's the busiest time of the year. You couldn't get a flight, couldn't get a bus. It's good. If you don't come home for Thanksgiving, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like you killed your family.
Yeah.
It's like Thanksgiving has this baggage, and then there's always fights around the table. Like, I don't know why Christmas does not have that. Probably
You're
because
right.
of
You're
because of the
right.
gifts. If there weren't any, I think Christmas would have more fights.
Well,
but because there's this idea that after dinner, I'm gonna go and open up some presents. So I'm not gonna. Oh, did you say that you hate everything I stand for? Yeah, okay, I'm good with it.
It used to be back in the day that half American families would have a boxing ring or a wrestling ring, guys. You know, just for those Thanksgiving table fights that kind of get a little heated, have to go into the ring. Well, now these guys we have UFC cages. We go right into the UFC.
The Thanksgiving cage fights.
Exactly.
That's one thing that I will say about the Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, which is one of my favorite films. It's one of Steve Martin's and John Candy. John Candy is fantastic in that.
Without question.
He's
one of the. I mean, we could do an entire show on how
he was such an underrated. He was such an underrated comedian. But the reason I don't, it's very unrealistic. People are trying to get away from their families at Thanksgiving. Here, Steve Martin is trying to get and spend time with his wife. Who wants to spend time with their family on Thanksgiving?
And you know the wonderful...
You know why? Because nobody gets presents on Thanksgiving. That's why all the baggage is and all the fights.
But the wonderful swerve of that film is, John Candy, who's been driving Steve Martin crazy through Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh my goodness!
For days on end as he tries to get to his family. The great swerve at the end of the film is you realize that John's character, he doesn't have he's lost his family. And, then you see the perspective, and it's just a great moment for Steve Martin. I think for some of his finest acting, when it dawns on him that this guy that's been annoying him like crazy, there's been this bad penny following him around everywhere, has just been a guy, going through absolute hell without his family, but still is finding the joy in life and still accepting him for who he is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a tremendously underrated film. And like Portis said, the great John Candy, who was so good, guys, in supporting roles. We know him from his supporting work in, movies like Splash, but gosh, was he a comedic genius. Look at his work, guys, in Uncle Buck, or his work, in Rookie of the Year, where he plays the colorful announcer of the Chicago Cubs, or Cool Runnings, where he plays, an Olympic coach who has the crazy idea to believe that, Jamaican track stars could be bobsledders. He's a tremendously great talent we lost far too soon.
And he was really great in JFK.
Oh, without question. Yeah, you want to talk about a transformative performance?
Some really great performances in it. It's not a great movie, but John Candy is really great in it. And
you're absolutely right, Clay. Yeah, it becomes more of an actor's showcase, just because Oliver's taking so many liberties. He leaves the truth train probably about 5 minutes into the film. But yeah, JFK, I mean, if you look at those performances, I mean, gosh, the Academy nominated work of Tommy Lee Jones, Kevin Bacon disappears into a great supporting role there. I mean you could go.
Jack Lemmon is in that.
Yeah, Jack Lemmon. You could go on and on and on. I mean, literally half of Hollywood's in that film, and it's just tremendous,
Ed Asner is in that too. He's really good in that.
Oh, without question, yeah, and it's really as we swerve further onto the road, no here, folks, to get off the railroad tracks. But this is also coming up as we've been joking about the assassination of President Kennedy. Really one of the most traumatic moments in the history of our nation. I mean, you could put it right up there with 9/11.
Yes.
And I think Pearl Harbor in terms of worst moments of the last 100 years of American history. But the thing about that is we come up on the anniversary of the assassination of the president. That film, I don't know of any film. I mean, there have been controversial films since, Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, for example, but nothing I think that became a cultural phenomenon that there was no middle ground. You either thought it was complete trash or you thought it was gospel. I mean, what's your take on JFK? As you said, it's not a great film, Portis, but how do you evaluate it here now over 30 years later?
Well, I think it did kind of usher in the almost to a fault that the greatest historians are filmmakers.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's where we're at, is that our society at large is kind of learning their history by the films and not the other way around. It's not like they know the subject and now they're looking into it. They're literally almost taking everything that they see on film at face value and going, oh, well, that's what happened. And you're like, no, it didn't happen like that.
They over exaggerate the films.
Yeah, he's using these composite characters. And so like one character represents 5,000 people or
right.
That's where Oliver Stone goes wrong. He has this idea that he has the composite character. So he makes a real person do like 5 different things that they never did, like that actual person never did. They never said those words. They never were there. They didn't do that. So, but it is a great way to get somebody. Like 95% of the population will just go, yeah, next. But there'll be 5% or 2% or whatever will go, hey, let me read this book, or let me look into this and let me try to enlighten myself. And so that's where filmmaking can really be a benefit.
Yeah, without question. I think especially for our kids' generation, the generation of today that's getting so much of their news not from traditional news sources, but from online, from social media, from TikTok, from Facebook, from all of these less than credible or well-researched or maybe authentic news services. It's just the way they're consuming information and the way that their history is kind of being told. And you're right, Clay. I mean, I think JFK was really the kind of the start of that. Obviously it's sensationalistic. I think Oliver's biggest mistake in that film, guys, is he's got so many different conspiracy theories. He can't settle on one. He's saying, well, is it the CIA? Is it Castro in Cuba? Is it people within his own party? Is it, another mystery assassin on the grassy knoll?
He takes this position that Oswald had absolutely nothing to do with the assassination on any level, which is just categorically, I don't care where you are on any of the issues. And I know Hot Rod sitting there going, what the hell does this have to do with Christmas?
Like,
you're getting there.
Yeah.
We're taking the long road back.
He's involved. Let's just put it that way. He's involved. That maybe he's not the lone person that's doing it, but he's involved. Now, if you want to get back to
The Three Blind Mics is sponsored by the Family Proud, Family Strong Network via YouTube and powered by the Digital Media Productions.